In the midst of life's challenges and uncertainties, it's easy to feel lost and uncertain about what lies ahead. It's natural to want answers, reassurance, and a clear roadmap for navigating the twists and turns that come our way. As we walk by faith, not by sight, we're called to trust in God's goodness and sovereignty, even when our circumstances seem unclear or difficult. The Bible reminds us that faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Hebrews 11:1. It takes courage to live out this kind of faith, but it's a choice we can make every day. By choosing to trust in God's plan, even when we can't see the full picture, we open ourselves up to experiencing His presence and guidance in profound ways. As we explore what it means to walk by faith, not by sight, we'll look at various aspects of this journey. We'll examine how our fears and doubts can hold us back from truly living out our faith, and how we can overcome them through prayer, Bible study, and community support. We'll also explore the importance of developing a deepening trust in God's love and care for us, even when things don't make sense. By learning to see the world through eyes of faith, we can experience the peace that surpasses understanding, Philippians 4:7, and find hope in the midst of uncertainty. Join me on this journey as we delve into the beauty and power of walking by faith, not by sight. May our conversation inspire you to trust more deeply in God's goodness, love, and sovereignty. Biblical context and key passages. The phrase, walk by faith, not by sight, is rooted in the biblical concept of trusting in God's presence and guidance, even when circumstances seem uncertain or difficult. One of the most famous passages on this topic is found in 2 Corinthians 5:7, where Paul writes, "For we live by faith, not by sight." This idea is also echoed in Isaiah 41:10, where God reminds us that He will strengthen and help us, that we can be of good courage and take heart, for He will not forsake or abandon us. These verses encourage us to look beyond our current circumstances and trust in God's goodness, even when things seem unclear. In the book of Hebrews, we're reminded that faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Hebrews 11:1. This means that faith is not just a feeling or an emotion, but a choice we can make every day to trust in God's plan and presence. One key aspect of walking by faith, not by sight, is learning to let go of fear and doubt. When we're afraid, it's easy to focus on what we don't see or understand, rather than trusting in God's goodness and sovereignty. By choosing to trust in Him, even when things seem uncertain, we can experience His peace and guidance in profound ways. Here are a few key passages that encourage us to walk by faith, not by sight. 2 Corinthians 5:7, Isaiah 41:10, Hebrews 11:1, meaning and key themes. When we choose to walk by faith, not by sight, we're making a conscious decision to trust in God's goodness and sovereignty, even when our circumstances seem unclear or difficult. This doesn't mean we ignore the reality of our situation or pretend everything is okay when it's not. Rather, it means we recognize that there's more to life than what we can see and touch. Walking by faith, not by sight, requires us to look beyond our current circumstances and trust in God's plan for our lives. It involves learning to see the world through eyes of faith, where the invisible realm of God's presence and guidance is just as real as the visible one. This kind of faith isn't about being naive or oblivious to the challenges we face. Rather, it's about trusting in a God who is bigger than our problems and more powerful than any obstacle that comes our way. By choosing to walk by faith, not by sight, we're opening ourselves up to experiencing His peace and guidance in profound ways. One of the key themes of walking by faith, not by sight, is the importance of trust. When we trust in God's goodness and sovereignty, even when things don't make sense, we can experience a deepening sense of peace and confidence that transcends our circumstances. This trust isn't just a feeling or an emotion. It's a choice we can make every day to rely on God's plan and presence. By choosing to trust in Him, we're not ignoring the challenges we face, but rather acknowledging that He is greater than any problem or obstacle that comes our way. Here are some key aspects of trusting in God's goodness and sovereignty. We must recognize that God is a trustworthy God who always keeps His promises. Deuteronomy 7:9. We must learn to see the world through eyes of faith, where God's presence and guidance are just as real as what we can see and touch. We must trust in God's plan for our lives, even when it doesn't make sense or seems unclear. Practical application today. So how do we apply the principle of walking by faith, not by sight, to our daily lives? Here are a few practical tips. First, we must learn to pray with faith, not just asking God for answers, but also trusting in His goodness and sovereignty. We can ask ourselves questions like, what does this situation look like from God's perspective? Or how is He working in this moment? Second, we must read Scripture with eyes of faith, looking beyond the literal meaning to see how God is speaking to us through the text. This involves asking questions like, what does this passage say about God's character and nature? Or how can I apply this truth to my life today? Third, we must surround ourselves with a community of believers who will encourage and support us in our walk by faith, not by sight. This might involve joining a church, attending a Bible study, or connecting with friends who share our values and convictions. In conclusion, as we conclude this journey of exploring what it means to walk by faith, not by sight, I hope you've been inspired to trust more deeply in God's goodness, love, and sovereignty. Remember that faith is a choice we can make every day, a decision to trust in His plan even when things don't make sense. As the Bible reminds us, we live by faith, not by sight. 2 Corinthians 5:7. This means that our trust in God's goodness and sovereignty is not based on what we can see or touch, but rather on who He is and His promises to us. By choosing to walk by faith, not by sight, we open ourselves up to experiencing His peace and guidance in profound ways. As you continue on your own journey of faith, I encourage you to remember that it's okay to ask questions and seek answers. It's okay to feel uncertain or scared at times. But don't let fear or doubt hold you back from trusting in God's goodness and sovereignty. Instead, choose to trust Him every day, no matter what challenges you may face. May our conversation have inspired you to deepen your trust in God and experience the peace that surpasses understanding. Philippians 4:7. May you find hope in the midst of uncertainty and walk by faith, not by sight, with confidence and courage.